Tonight we are talking about spiritual warfare. So guess what, guys? Once again, God has changed my topic schedule. Because if you remember, for months now, I've been promising, we're going to get back into the end times. We're going to do the end times. We're going to finish up Revelation. I was talking about it last week. But once again, God has changed the topic on me, which I love it when that happens. This is not my show. This is God's show. And I spend a lot of time every week praying about what I'm supposed to talk about, what topic, what God, what do you want me to talk about? And so often he changes the topic. He changes my plans. I welcome him changing my plans. So he wants us to focus on spiritual warfare right now. This is going to be at least 2 weeks long, I think, unless he changes it again, maybe even 3 weeks or longer. So anyway, I'm going to start with this funny little video of some of our adventures on our homestead. So for those of you who are maybe new, if you're not aware, my husband Craig and I, we are homesteaders. So we have a small little farm in Southwest Missouri, and we have over 300 animals that we breed and we sell and we care for. And so that includes goats and sheep and rabbits and chickens and ducks and turkeys. We just got turkeys. So anyway, that takes up a lot of our time running our homestead. We've been doing this for about 4 years now. So let me show you, before I show you the funny little video, I want to show you this quick little intro video so you can see what our farm looks like right now. So here's a farm. Yeah, so there's me and Craig. And some of our many, 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 many animals. So many animals. Okay, so the little video I want to show you is actually a video that I made for our homestead channel. I have a homestead channel. Let me show you the address of that if you would like to check it out. The name of our homestead is Hermit's Way Homestead, and we do have a YouTube channel. And so for several years, I was making these funny little videos about our adventures. And then as we got more and more animals, I just kind of didn't have enough time to keep doing that. And I started this channel, and so I really don't have time to do that anymore. But this is the address if you'd like to go. There's a ton of real, just funny, cute little videos. I really had a lot of fun doing that. So this video I'm going to show you is about our very first snake adventure that we had after we moved here and started homesteading. So you'll see in the video, everything is just like what you just saw in that little video I just showed. You saw all the animals and all the buildings and all of the fencing and everything. Well, none of that was on the farm yet. So when we first moved here, it was this big open field. So you'll see that. And when I made this video, we had 7 chickens. 7 chickens. Now we have hundreds of chickens. So anyway, you'll see a difference. But here's this little video of there's a snake in the coop.
Several weeks after we moved to our new homestead, we had a little adventure involving a big black rat snake in our chicken coop. Now, I have always loved black rat snakes. They are not venomous, and they eat rodents and even kill venomous snakes. They are very good to have around, but they also eat chicken eggs, so I don't want them in my chicken coop. And that is exactly where I found one on this crazy morning. Unfortunately, the adventurous event all happened so fast that neither Craig or I thought to take any video. So please enjoy this dramatic reenactment of our great snake adventure. There's a snake in the chicken coop.
Say hello to Mr. Snake. So I hope it didn't sometimes it gets hung up on when I'm doing the live stream. So hopefully you got to get an idea of it. I used to have so much fun making those crazy little videos. All right, so that was a reenactment of the very first snake experience we had after we moved here 4 years ago and started homesteading. That was all 7 of our original chickens that we had. Most of them are long gone now. We have their great grandbabies now. All right, so let me tell you a story about a real snake that happened to me that I encountered last week. Okay, so here's the story. So this was last Wednesday. Okay, so a week ago, and it was in the morning, and Craig and I were out taking care of the animals. We're going to feed all the animals every single morning. And so I had let myself into one of the chicken coops, and so this is like a little pen, and we have chickens in it, and it's inside of the bigger coop building that you actually could see there in that video. And so I let myself in. And then once I get in there, I have to close and latch the door behind me so the chickens don't get out. So there I was inside this pen, latched in there. And I noticed that the chicken feeder that has their food in it, it usually sits on this concrete block, and it had fallen off the concrete block because the concrete block had shifted. And so it was like lopsided. And so I didn't think about it. I just reached down with my hand and I grabbed the concrete block and I pulled it over real fast to move it so it wasn't lopsided anymore. So when I moved that concrete block, what do you know? There was the biggest, fattest copperhead snake underneath that concrete block that I have ever seen in my life. Okay, so there I am inside this little pen. I am latched shut inside this little pen with a big, fat, venomous snake. And so I jumped back, and so I'm keeping my eye on the snake. You know, I'm not going to get my eyes off the snake, and I'm trying to unlatch the door behind me, you know. And so I get it unlatched, and I let myself out, and I slam the door shut. And the whole time I'm yelling for Craig because he's out feeding the goat somewhere. So I'm like, snake, 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 you know. And so he finally hears me, and he comes running. And so we've got that snake grabber. Actually, you could see it in the video. It's this long stick. And on the end, it has like pinchers. And on the other side, it's got like a little handle so you could make the pinchers close and open. And so it's actually for the purpose of grabbing snakes, just like a situation that I'm describing right now. So he brought the snake grabber. And so we were able to grab this copperhead snake, get it out of the pen, get it out of the chicken coop and off the farm property. And we took care of it. So anyway, that's my crazy story. That just happened last Wednesday. And it was really, really, it kind of shook me up because my naked hand was like this close to that snake. So he could have easily just, you know, turned around and whipped up and bitten my hand, you know, and so that would not have been fun at all. Now, it's not unusual for us to have snakes in the coop, especially in the spring. The snakes come out a lot in the spring, and then in the fall, not so much, but it's been really rainy and humid lately around here. And so when that happens, sometimes the snakes come out as well. But when we see snakes, usually they are those black rat snakes, like the ones at the beginning of the video, right? So those don't bother me at all. Those are, like I said in the video, they are non-venomous. They actually are good to have around because they eat mice and they eat rats and they actually kill the bad snakes. So when we find those black rat snakes, we don't mind at all. We use the snake grabber and we pull them out of the coop, but then we take them to the woods and we let them go. So, and let me show you, in fact, a video of us doing that with a real snake instead of an electric cord. So here's another one of those snakes. Look at that thing. Look how big that is.
Holy crap, look at that.
Oh, wow. You see it? It's wrapping itself around that wire that's holding the feeder.
So strong.
Wow. Oh, my gosh. Okay, you guys cannot go out. You can't go out.
His head.
Okay. Okay. All right, hold on.
He's like locked on there.
Wow.
He can't bite you. You just got to peel him off.
Wow. That's amazing. He is so strong. Wow. He's around that.
Yep.
Wow. That is,
how strong they are.
Oh my gosh, look at that. Wow, that is crazy. Okay.
Yeah, you need 2 hands.
Yeah.
Okay, so immediately after that, I had to set the phone down because I had to use both my hands because I had to unwind that snake because he wrapped himself all around that wire that was holding the chicken feeder, so we couldn't get him out. So I had to manually unwrap him from that wire in order for us to get him out of there. And he was big and strong. Those things get up to like 7 feet long. So they're not super aggressive, but they are so strong. So anyway, I don't know if you could hear, but Craig at one point said, he can't bite you because I've got his head. Well, that was not true. So as I am unwinding the snake, I'm not looking at his head. I'm just focusing on getting him unwound. And I feel this sharp pinch pain on my wrist, like right there. And I look down, and sure enough, that snake had bitten my arm and was latched onto my arm. So now they don't have fangs. They've got kind of like sandpaper. It's almost like tiny little needles inside of their mouth. So it did break the skin, but it wasn't really all that bad. I cleaned it up, and I was able to shake him off. It just felt like a real hard pinch, And so I shook him off, and then finally we were able to get him unwound and get him out of there. But but now I can say, as probably not too many people can, that I have actually been bitten by a snake, and I live to tell the tale. So anyway, those are my snake stories. So I really love snakes. I know it's weird. Most people don't, but I have always thought that snakes were very beautiful. If you've ever watched the way they move, I think they're so fascinating. And I know a lot of people just have this visceral fear of kind of an innate fear of snakes. And I actually think that it goes all the way back to Adam and Eve. So if you remember the story of Adam and Eve, and the serpent came and tricked them into eating the forbidden fruit. And then when God cursed the snake, after that, part of his curse was this. He said, I will make enemies of you and the woman. So part of the snake's curse was that he would be an enemy with women. It's usually women that I notice just have like this knee-jerk fear response to snakes. And I think that's built into our DNA. But for whatever reason, I've never felt that. I've always just thought they were fascinating and very beautiful, and I love to see them, except I don't like to see the venomous ones. They're dangerous. So I love the non-venomous ones. And we do have a lot of really good snakes in my area, Southwest Missouri, where we live. But we have 3 kinds of venomous snakes. Only 3. They say that we've got these rattlesnakes in Missouri, but the whole time I've never seen one. I've never seen one in Missouri. Then we've got these cottonmouths. And these, I've seen a couple of these. They usually stay in the water, so you don't have to worry about it unless you're, in a swampy area. But this is the kind of snake that was in the chicken coop. This is a copperhead, and they are actually really beautiful. I love the way they look, but they are venomous, and their bite it can be deadly. I've heard of people dying from copperhead bites. Usually that would be like if a little kid gets bitten, or somebody who's frail and sick already. So normally, it's venomous. It will mess you up, but it wouldn't normally kill you necessarily, but it will mess you up. So here's some pictures of people who have gotten bitten by these snakes. And this is from a little kid. Oh, poor little kid. And then, oh my goodness, look at that. So definitely glad that I did not get bitten by that snake, because that would not have been fun at all. Nobody has enough time to mess with that. So anyway, thank you, Jesus, that he protected me from getting bitten by that snake. So anyway, that was last Wednesday, so a week ago. And then the rest of the day, I went about my business. Didn't really think about it all that much because, we see snakes. It's kind of something that happens out in the country. And but then that night, I had this dream. And I'll tell you about it in a minute, but it kind of clued me in that maybe there's a little bit more to this snake experience than what I was originally thinking. Maybe it isn't just coincidence. Maybe there's kind of a spiritual element. So here's the dream that I had. So in the dream, I was back in that same coop, but Craig was in there with me. Okay, and so I was leaning over, filling up the chicken feeder, and so while I was doing that, I felt this sharp pain on my wrist. So the same place where that black rat snake actually bit me. Okay, but this was, but when I looked down, it was that same copperhead, that big fat copperhead snake. he had bitten me and was latched onto my wrist right here. And so there was this moment in the dream where both Craig and I, we are looking down at my arm at this big fat copperhead snake latched onto my arm. And we're kind of like both in shock. We don't know what to do. We can't believe that I'm getting bitten by a poison and venomous snake. And so in the dream, it hurt. And I could feel like his venom like pumping into my arm. It was terrible. And then that's all I remember. That was the end of the dream right there. But the thing is, when I woke up that next morning, so this is Thursday morning, I completely forgot about that dream. It had been in the middle of the night. So I had no memory when I first woke up of having that dream. So normally in the mornings, I have my prayer time. And so I was doing that on Thursday morning. I was praying. And as I was praying, all of a sudden, that dream popped into my mind. Like I just remembered it. I think God did that. And so I remembered the dream. It was kind of disturbing. And then right after that happened, I had a quick little vision of Paul, the Apostle Paul in the Bible, of him getting bitten on the wrist right here, same place where I had gotten bitten in the dream. He was getting bitten by a snake. And it was just a quick little flash. I saw Paul, I knew who he was in the vision, and he had a snake latched onto his arm, same place where I had gotten bitten. So I'm realizing now, oh my goodness, there really is some kind of spiritual thing going on here. God is trying to tell me something. And there really is a story of Paul in the Bible getting bitten by a snake. Do you all know that story? I want to tell you about the story because I think it applies to what I'm talking about tonight. Okay. And I am still not sure. I'm not sure of all the different things that God is trying to show me through all of this juxtaposition of all these things. So maybe some of you might have some ideas as I'm telling you this, and you can think about it, talk to me about it. So, but anyway, here's the story of Paul in the Bible when he was bitten by a snake. So this is from Acts 28. And so Paul had been arrested for preaching the gospel in Jerusalem. And so they were transporting him to Rome because Paul was a Roman citizen. And so he had appealed to Caesar. So they were transporting him to Rome so that he could appear before Caesar. Okay. And so he was on this ship and it was a long journey. Okay. And so he was on the ship heading for Rome, and the ship got caught in this terrible, terrible storm. And they actually got shipwrecked on this island of Malta. So that's where the story starts. And so I am going to, I'm going to read some of this to you. Okay, so the natives on this island, they showed us extraordinary kindness, for they kindled a fire and took us all in because of the rain that had started and because of the cold. But when Paul had gathered a bundle of sticks and laid them on the fire, a viper came out of because of the heat and fastened itself on his hand. When the natives saw the creature hanging from his hand, they began saying to one another, "Undoubtedly, this man is a murderer. And though he has been saved from the sea, from the shipwreck, justice has not allowed him to live." So they were very superstitious. However, Paul shook the creature off into the fire and suffered no harm. Now they were expecting that Paul was going to swell up or suddenly fall down dead. But after they had waited a long time and seen nothing unusual happen to Paul, they changed their minds and began to say that Paul was a god. So that was quite the turnaround, right? From a murderer to, oh, he's a god. And so we know Paul well enough to know that Paul would have said, "No, I'm not a god. Do not worship me. I'm just a man." But because of this situation, it allowed him to preach the gospel to all of the people on the island. And he also was able to heal a lot of people, including the father of the king of that island. So it opened up this great opportunity. So God, you took that snake situation and used it to spread the gospel to these people on the island of Malta. So very, very interesting. All right. So at this point, remember, I had that dream of the snake biting me, didn't remember it. And then God reminded me of it. Then I had that quick vision of Paul getting bitten by a snake. I know at this point, God, you're trying to tell me something. What are you trying to tell me? So I'm praying about it. And as I'm praying, then one of my angels appears standing in front of me. So if you are new to my channel, God allows me, I believe God allows me to see angels often. It's something I share a lot about on my channel. So that's what happened, believe it or not. One of my angels was standing right in front of me. Now, this is a warrior angel. One of God over the years has given me, I have a whole troop of angels that he's given me for different purposes. And one of them is this warrior angel. And so I saw him, and he's really, really big. And he was standing right in front of me. And so, so I'm looking at him, and he bends down so that his face is kind of, level with mine. And he grabs my arm, same arm that got bitten, by the way. And he puts it like this, puts it like this. And so if you saw my podcast about 4 weeks ago, I think it was, when I had another vision of an angel giving me a new shield of faith. And it was this big crusader shield. And I did a whole podcast about it. Okay. So when he put my arm in position like this, then in the spirit, I saw that shield of faith. And it was, I was holding that shield of faith. And so he was actually putting my arm, like adjusting my shield is what he was doing, the angel. And so then he gets in my face and he smiles and he said, use it. Use your shield. And then he disappeared. All right. So that was my message. Okay, God wants me to focus on using the shield, using the armor, the spiritual warfare. And so that was one reason why I changed my topic. And I know that God wants me to focus on that on my podcast, at least for a couple of weeks. So we are talking about spiritual warfare.